And now it's July. End of July 1864. Weeks passed since the battle at the Ikeda Inn. In the meantime, the Shinsengumi grew stricter during their rounds to arrest the numerous outlaw ronin that escaped from the Ikeda Inn. Rumors surfaced of extremists who were plotting to exact revenge on the Shinsengumi. Additionally, there were also problems occurring with warriors spanning from other domains, making things tense around the headquarters. Things were finally settling down. As a result of my efforts during the battle, they grew more encouraging in my involvement. The Shinsengumi allowed me to sweep the area in front of the headquarters on my own. Is this when Iba shows up? One day I was cleaning the courtyard with a broom when I heard gentle footsteps approaching me.
Excuse me, but is this the Shinsengumi headquarters?
Oh yes! It is, Iba. Alright, well we can skip this. We've met Iba a few times. Heisuke does show up and talk to him a little bit, but for the most part we can skip this scene. There's Heisuke. We'll just wait till Iba leaves and then we'll come out of this again. Alright, there we go. And now it's August. August 1864. After the fight at the inn, I was able to leave the compound much more often. I suppose after what I'd done, Hijikata thought I earned a little more trust. I didn't feel like I did anything extraordinary, but I wasn't about to look a gift horse in the mouth. I was genuinely happy that the man Hijikata approved of me. On this particular day, I was out on patrol with Harada and the 10th Division. Excuse me, Harada. The Shinsengumi is out patrolling day and night, right?
Yeah, that's right. What about it?
But what exactly is it that you do? Most of the men in the Shinsengumi were intimidating, death-dealing titans, but Harada was a rare exception, warm and friendly.
Well, I guess we do just about everything. Obviously, we arrest people who want to test out their swords or don't pay for their food.
People who don't pay for food?
And then there's those chumps who think they'll make a living leaning on the merchants.
It wasn't really the answer I'd expected. I guess the Shinsengumi's job is closer to a magistrate's than I thought. Thinking back, I remembered how excited they were during the raid. What they did at the inn was far more intense than their day-to-day work. A little further down the road, a couple of men in Shinsengumi blues were waving at us. Nagakora! I guess our separate rounds brought us to the same spot.
Hey there, Chizuru. You find out anything about your dad?
No, nothing today.
Oh, come on, cheer up. There's always tomorrow, right?
Yeah, you're right. There was something contagious about his optimism.
Well, Shinpachi, you find anything exciting? No, nothing in particular, but all of the people on the street are acting busy, you know?
I hadn't noticed it before, but he was right. They were acting strange, almost nervous. Yeah, it looks like they're getting ready to move.
You think maybe they're worried about getting caught in the middle of a war?
What? War? There wasn't a war, was there?
Oh yeah, we didn't tell you yet, huh? Well, those Choshu bastards are showing up around Kyoto again, hence our extra rounds. Well, we did give them a bloody nose at Ikeda. I can't imagine they'll just stand around with some of their guys in the ground.
Were the Choshu going to try something again?
Beats me. Kinda hard to tell at the moment. It doesn't matter anyway. We just do our job. The Choshu attack Kyoto, we drive him back. Simple.
They accepted their situation and never complained. I had a good deal of respect for Harada and Nagakora.
If they don't back off soon, we're probably going to be getting new orders all the way from the top.
So you think the Aizu will give you all orders?
Yeah, they might ask us to join as part of the official shogunate troops. Well, chances like this only come every so often. Who knows when the next one will be? Wanna join us?
What? I was perplexed by his sudden invitation. Does this mean I could march as a member of the Shinsengumi? It seemed rather inappropriate for me to ask to participate just for curiosity's sake. Still, I very much hoped to be helpful in some way. Could I perhaps do something like what I'd done at the Ikeda Inn? However, there's also the chance that I become a hindrance as opposed to helping them out. I am going to stay behind this time, because Heisuke can't go due to his injury. I'll stay behind. Harada seemed to possess a still heart, garnering a voice that was slow but at peace. He didn't respond to my words, but he smiled kindly. Part of me felt safer leaving, just to avoid being in anyone's way, but I also wanted to stay here, appreciating this moment of peace for once. Although, how could I justify participating when I wasn't a true member of the Shinsengumi? I bottled up my feelings of contemplation and I just returned to the headquarters. A few days passed. I'm like, this music usually only plays when something romantical is happening. Your medicine's ready. I was carrying medicine and some hot sake. Aw, are we waiting on our poor boy? The medicine was Ishida medicinal powder, which was manufactured by Hijikata's family.
Give that to Soji and Heisuke. And Sanan too while you're at it.
Aw. Sanan's eyebrows rose at the mention of his name. Nani?
Oh, do you really think I need this? My injuries have already healed.
Just give it a shot, Sanan. They say this stuff works on just about anything. Sanan rolled his eyes, but reached over to take his portion of medicine and sake. At least you get sake. He had been telling the truth, though. His injuries had healed, at least as much as they were going to, but his arm still refused to work properly. It was slowly becoming clear that it would probably never work properly again.
Man, that Ishida powder with hot sake is the best. I'm so jealous of you guys.
Then why don't you have some? You're still hurt, aren't you?
I want to drink sake too, but unfortunately my injuries have all recovered.
Nagakura was injured at the Ikeda Inn, but he recently declared that he was completely healed, despite the fact his wounds still looked painful. I had heard he had convinced Hijikata that his wounds weren't as bad as Okita or Heisuke's.
I would never have thought that Todo or Okita would return from a fight injured.
That's only because it was so dark in there. It wasn't a fair fight, okay? He came out of nowhere and broke my head guard right in half.
He split it in half just by punching it. That's pretty damn impressive.
Heisuke muttered something bitter and angry under his breath, but Harada just laughed.
And what else? I heard one of them got away from you, Okita.
Okita only smiled quietly as Nagakura gestured toward him. It won't happen again. Next time I will win. Everyone began sharing their experience at the inn. Saito, however, remained silent. Is there something bothering you? I kept my voice low so as not to interrupt any of the other men in their conversations.
I've been thinking, why were there men strong enough to defeat Soji at Ikeda? They claim not to be members of the Choshu, but I've no doubt the proprietors of the inn wouldn't have allowed just anyone in that night.
Oh.
If they entered undetected, it begs the question of how, in addition to why. Or were they exploiting their connection? I suppose all we know for sure is that these two men possess impressive strength and skill.
The sliding door suddenly flew open as Saito finished his sentence and Kondo appeared.
We have received orders from the Aizu domain.
As all conversation ceased, eyes turned to Kondo.
In preparation for a Choshu attack, the Shinsengumi has been ordered to the front.
A cheer went up from everyone present.
Finally! It's about goddamn time!
Too bad for you, Heisuke. Can't go and fight if you're injured, can you?
What? Come on, this is different!
He turned to Hijikata, clearly hoping that the commander might give him special leave to go.
No, it's not. You'll stay here and guard our headquarters.
What? You're a real monster, Hijikata, you know that? A demon!
Did you just ask me to gut you? Because that's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
Heisuke's mouth snapped shut. I didn't think Hijikata would actually stab one of his own men, but neither did I think he would go easy on any of them, even if they were injured.
The injured are a burden, so we shall remain here and guard the compound like obedient soldiers.
Fine. I guess I can't help it. I'll stay behind this time.
I guess I'll have to pass too. I'd like to go, but I'm just not 100% yet. Maybe I'll go cool down outside. Okita got up to leave. Poor Soji. I assume I'll be staying here as well? Kondo nodded.
Yes, I'll need you to keep tabs on Heisuke and Soji. I don't want them moping around.
He let out a short laugh and several men grinned. Before long, the Shinsengumi had left for the front, leaving only a handful of soldiers in the silent compound. So, what should I be doing when they're out? Oh, right. Kondo had asked me to keep an eye on Okita and Heisuke. I think Okita was in the inner courtyard. To be honest, I was a little concerned for him. He was still recovering, and being out in the cold air wasn't doing him any favors in that regard. Still, that left Heisuke and Sanan. Maybe they're still in the common room. Heisuke seemed particularly frustrated at being forced to stay behind, and Sanan had been even colder and more distant lately. I was worried for Okita, of course, but I felt there was something deeper affecting the other two. Where should I go? Well, it's not Okita's turn anymore, so to the common room. I heard Heisuke and someone else talking as I walked down the hall. They were in the common room then.
Damn it. I wish I was out there right now, you know? Screwing around in this old place is boring!
Your injury may not be too serious, but there is no sense in taking unnecessary risks.
It sounded as if Sanan was actually trying to cheer Heisuke up. How long had it been since I had heard Sanan say something nice to someone? He was a very kind man, once upon a time. I miss that Sanan.
I mean... yeah, it still hurts. I know that. And I know it's important to protect headquarters.
Well, as soon as your injuries heal, you'll be able to return to the front lines. Far better than being condemned to spend the rest of your life as a pariah, such as myself.
Poor Sanan.
Well, I guess.
An awkward silence fell over the room. It would have been rude for me to speak up, having left the inn unharmed on that fateful night, but if I pretended to enter for another matter, it would make it clear that I was eavesdropping. I had no choice then. I had to return to my room. As I turned to do so, Sanan's voice stopped me cold. Oh.
But perhaps with the right treatment, I could hold a sword again.
Treatment? What did he mean by that? Medicine? But he was already taking the Ishida powder. Unless he was talking about something else.
What? Come on, Sanan! You aren't thinking of joining the Furies, right?
Heisuke shouted at Sanan. What was this conversation about? Something about this conversation seemed familiar. I heard them mention something like it around when I first arrived. We were eating dinner together when we'd received the news of Sanan's injury. If push comes to shove, he'll have to take it. I don't think Sanan's just going to give up.
Don't jinx him, Soji. It's gonna look bad if officers start joining the Furies.
They'd mentioned the serum then, too. Are they talking about that?
But it didn't work, right? Soji and Hajime had to kill them, remember?
Okita and Saito had to kill them? Yes, that fateful night. That night was an experience I would never forget, but what did it have to do with this treatment? Come on, Chizuru. Put two and two together.
True. It isn't complete, but if we find Kodo, then he should provide the assistance we need.
Father? What did Father have to do with their treatment? This was a great deal of information to take in. My mind was a hurricane of thoughts, suspicions, and fears trickling through the corners of my mind. Even as I struggled to make sense of what I just heard, I knew that I had stumbled onto something dangerous, something I shouldn't know. Suddenly I wanted very much to be gone. Why did I stay and listen? I was such a fool.
I'm sorry, but I need to ask you not to repeat anything you may have heard.
His cold, quiet voice filled the empty hall. Maybe the words that came out of Sanan's mouth were directed strictly to Heisuke. Heisuke responded with a furrowed brow.
Yeah, sure, Sanan, I won't say a thing. But seriously, man, you can't do this.
I helplessly felt like those words were directed towards me. I scurried from the area as I grasped my fast-beating heart. If what Sanan had suggested really did happen. As silently as I could, I moved down the hall and away from the common room, back to the room I suddenly wished I'd never left. We had a much nicer time with Okita when we checked on him last time. Whoops. The Choshu extremists' attempted attack on the imperial estate eventually came to be known as the Hamaguri Rebellion. Although the Shinsengumi were called to action, their efforts were stymied, and they found little in the way of glory. Communication with their superiors was poor at best, and they spent much of the battle waiting with the reserves. When the Shinsengumi finally entered the battle, each man found several strange opponents awaiting him. Chikage Kazuma, who defeated Okita at Ikeda, claimed to be from the Satsuma domain during his encounter with Hijikata. Kyujo Amagiri, the man who shattered Heisuke's headguard at Ikeda, also claimed membership in the Satsuma. They had also met Kyo Shiranui, who'd fought alongside men from Choshu. Whoever they were, it was clear they were not allies of the Shinsengumi. Indeed, it seemed they could easily become some of its greatest enemies. If they were to meet in open battle, the casualties would be severe. By the time the battle was over, the commanders of the Choshu attack had been killed in the fighting, or took their own lives. There were some soldiers, however, who escaped, setting Kyoto ablaze as they fled. By some terrible misfortune, winds that day blew from the north and fanned the flames, reducing the southern end of the imperial estate to ash. As a result of the Choshu attack, many imperial nationalists were executed. With the Hamaguri rebellion over, the Choshu were branded as traitors for attacking the estate. From then on, they were acknowledged enemies of the court. Man, time really goes a lot faster when you're not participating in battles. You get a nice little summary, get yourself in trouble, and then you move on to another month. We're probably nearing the end of chapter 2 at that rate then. That case, that rate. September 1864. The closeness in time between the battles of the Ikeda Inn and the Imperial Palace created significant civil unrest within Kyoto. The Shinsengumi redoubled their efforts to keep people safe, but the more they worked, the more the shogun put them to work. His approval of their activities meant more official business, and it stretched them thin. Even with recruits from Kyoto and Osaka, it wasn't enough. After many discussions, the Shinsengumi chose to recruit even more men from Edo, and Heisuke was tasked with preliminary scouting in the city. Heisuke! Oh no, we're saying goodbye. The hardened sun kissed our burning cheeks as Kondo and I saw Heisuke off, his grin wide and his bags packed from the night before. If only we could get a kiss on our cheek from our boy.
Well, I'll be on my way now. Make sure no one causes trouble while I'm gone.
Okay, I promise to help as much as I can.
Find us a good crop of men, Heisuke. I'll join you there next month.
The plan was for Heisuke to hit Edo early and scope the potential men, and have Kondo follow behind a month after to make the final say with recruits. Isn't there someone you mentioned wanting to see? I remember you saying something like that.
Oh, we never told you, Yukimura? I believe his name is Ito. He fights using the Hokushin Ito style, and word is he's well versed in strategy.
Truth be told, I don't really know him well, but I'm pretty sure he'll at least hear me out.
And that's more than enough. He's an imperialist, but if we approach him right and with respect, he'll see fit to help us. I know he will.
Kondo nodded confidently, but Heisuke looked like he wasn't quite as sure.
Anyway, I'm off! I'll do my best to find information on Kyoto too while I'm there, so just wait until I get back.
Okay, be careful. I watched him go, and the smaller his back became, the lonelier I felt. When I couldn't see him anymore, my heart twinged. I glanced up at Kondo. He'll be a changed man when he gets back. You look happy. You're thinking about all the new warriors you're getting, right?
Yeah. Seeing our numbers increase is a wonderful thing. If they're strong and able, even better.
He puffed out his chest and grinned. His relief at recruiting new members reflected just how worried he must have been. I hadn't realized how much we were struggling. No training this time? Kondo kept his men close to his heart, and now he could smile. Time passed quickly after Heisuke left, and a month soon went by. The day for Kondo to leave for Edo was upon us, and I saw him off the next morning. I came across Kondo in the yard, mired in his thoughts. Hello, Kondo.
Oh, it's you, Yukimura. Is something the matter?
Oh, no, nothing like that. I was just thinking about how you'll be on your way to Edo tomorrow.
True enough. Can't leave Heisuke hanging for too long, right?
It will be a little lonely around here once you've left headquarters, too.
Aw, don't worry. I'll only be gone a month. Toshi'll take care of everything while I'm away.
He didn't know his kind generosity and Heisuke's bright personality kept me going day after day here. They were the highlights of my restrictive life. With both of them gone. Kondo hadn't even left yet, and I was already feeling an uncontrollable loneliness sweep over me. It must have shown on my face because he suddenly looked troubled.
Oh yeah. Is there anything you want me to bring back for you from Edo? A memento from your hometown, perhaps?
Oh, no, I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me.
You sure? Is there anything else I can do for you? Anything that's in my power to grant, I will.
He was always so accommodating to me already, I didn't have any complaints. But there was something I desired for a while, but never had the nerve to ask before. Oh, we are still gonna get trained. Hey. Before you leave for Edo, could you train me?
Wait. Are you talking about learning swordplay?
Yes.
Oh, no. That's a bad idea. I'm really aggressive when I teach. If I somehow hurt you, I wouldn't be able to face your father.
Oh.
But I have to say, that came out of nowhere. Did you have a reason?
His eyebrows furrowed in concern. Yeah, this one again. If I'm going to help watch over the compound while you're gone, I want to be capable.
Oh, but you aren't one of the warriors, so I doubt you'd have to raise your sword.
You're right. But still, I want to be strong enough to be able to protect myself, at least the bare minimum if something were to happen. Having witnessed many battles with the Shinsengumi, it was pretty clear how far behind in skill I was. I would fall quickly if I dealt with similar battles. I knew I'd never be as strong as them, but war could still reach my doorstep someday as well. I wanted to lessen the burden from my protectors. I tried my best to explain how I felt to Kondo, and eventually he gave a firm nod.
Understood. If you're that serious, I would love to teach you what I can.
Woohoo! Teach me, senpai. We found a cord to tie up my sleeves and set about training me. Normal Shinsengumi training revolved around real-life sparring with wooden swords. Kondo decided to go easy on me with a bamboo stick.
Let's get started. I have to warn you, though. Tenin Rishin style is a little rough.
Right. I'm ready.
Okay, let's begin with checking your stance. You said you were trained before, correct?
Yes. It was mostly for self-defense, but I did receive instruction in fighting with a Kodachi.
Good. That means you don't have to learn a new form. Get into the stance you've been taught.
Okay. Bamboo stick in hand, I moved into the familiar stance that I'd memorized during my training.
2 weak!
Like a whip, his harsh words stung as he barked.
If someone moves to attack you from the front, the first thing they'll reach is your sword and your sword arm. They'll knock your sword away if your grip is too weak. You must keep an eye out for that.
Okay. He hit me with the full brunt of his stringent teaching. I could see he was taking this seriously. He wasn't going easy on me because I was a girl.
Now you're holding on too tight. Given your slight build, you should do your best to avoid a strike from the front. To do that, you'll have to dodge or redirect the impact, but if you're grasping your sword tightly...
With Kondo's instruction, I practiced swinging the sword over and over, doing my best to learn and retain everything he was teaching me.
Oh, it's getting late.
His words brought my head up and I blinked. The sun set without me realizing, pooling below, and the sky was now shades of red and purple. Suddenly in the real world again, fatigue slammed into me and I collapsed to my knees. Thank you for doing this for me. Every limb was shaking, my clothes completely drenched in sweat. I sucked in air like I couldn't get enough of it. Poor Kondo. Kondo glanced over at me when I fell to the ground, and his strict teaching expression immediately switched to one of deep concern.
I'm sorry, Yukimura. What was I doing? I got so into it that I started pushing you way too hard.
I'm fine. The fact that you forgot and ended up teaching me that way, even though I'm not your student. Thank you. It made me really happy.
I see. If that's how you truly feel, then I'm glad there's a bright side to this at least.
His face was a mixture of relief and guilt.
I am very sorry. I haven't trained anyone like this since the old days, so I kinda fell back into it.
You mean before you came to Kyoto?
Right. Toshi, Soji, and Gen learned Tenin Rishin with me back at Chie Hall. Sanan, Todo, Nagakura, and Harada joined us a little later. Oh, and Saito would come by sometimes too. We don't have the free time much anymore, but we used to test our skills against each other in bouts nearly every day.
If I remembered correctly, talk of the old days came up one night when everyone was well into their sake. Kondo's family were farmers, but it was discovered that he had remarkable skill at sword fighting. The owner of Chie Hall decided to adopt him so he could continue training, and that's where he met Hijikata along with everyone else. It must have been rough doing all that training.
Yes, it was quite harsh, but strangely fulfilling. In a different way than our work now.
He gazed off into the distance, clearly reminiscing, and I felt a tiny pang of envy. If I had been born and raised near Mibu, would I have met all of them under different, better circumstances? Kondo turned to look down at me kindly, a gentle smile on his face.
Earlier you said you weren't my student, but...
Huh?
Since I, a 4th-generation master of Tenin Rishin, spent a day training you, That more or less means you're now a disciple of the style as well. That would make you a student like Toshi, Soji, and Gen.
Thank you! It was obviously not official, and it was barely a day's worth of instruction, but I was happy. I couldn't stop smiling, my heart felt so light. Kondo, I'm so grateful. Thank you for today. What a sweet bean. My mind and heart were still reflecting on the wonderful thing that just happened. I returned to my room with my head held high. I'd been staying there for a while now, but sometimes I still felt like I was baggage to them. They needed me for one thing and one thing only. I was never really a part of them, nor did I belong. But now... Kondo's words filled in some of the holes in my heart. Just a little, but I treasured the feeling. Smiling, I collapsed onto my futon. The strain and fatigue from earlier was a good feeling, and I let it drag me under to sleep.